Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pits of Motor Chaos. This is your host, Dave. I got in line a special guest, front engine nitro dragster driver, Paul Schultz. How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
Good. So, first question I got for you, Paul, is how did you get involved in drag racing?
Well, I first got involved in drag racing basically at a little 8-mile track in Eddyville, Iowa, is where I made my first pass at the racetrack ever.
I think I lost you, Paul. I can't hear you.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I'm here.
Oh, that's all you had to say. Okay. So, I thought you were going to go into a longer story about how you started drag racing.
No, that was really where I got my start, and I raced a 72 Z28 Camaro there that basically was a street-driven car. And the first night I went there, I won the Street Eliminator and got my first trophy.
Yeah, what year was that?
That would have been in 1975 or 6, 7, somewhere in there.
And what'd you move into after that?
After that, I bought a front-engine dragster that had a carbureted 331 small block Chevy with a power glide in it, and I raced it for a little bit, and then I built a bigger small block Chevy that ran injected alcohol, and we basically built that car to run Super Comp because when Super Comp originated, it was heads up, pro start, no breakout, and they qualified 32 cars, I think, and the class was so popular that they put the breakout in effect. So I just went back to running brackets at local racetracks, San Antonio and Temple and places like that, because if they were going to put the breakout in effect, we figured we might as well just run brackets.
Right.
So that was how that ended up.
So how many years did you drive that one for?
I ran that car for about 10 years in Texas.
Now, when did you get into nitromethane?
Well, my first foray into nitromethane was 1975 with a local funny car out of Iowa. I got involved with them, and then shortly after that, I moved to Canyon Lake, Texas, and I got involved with Chris Berg's Texas Yankee out of Universal City or San Antonio area, and he kind of sponsored my front engine car, injected alcohol car, through his shop, and then I helped crew on his nitro funny car. That's how I got to know Dan Reitzel and J.E. Christek and Jody Smart and a bunch of other people from the San Antonio area that were fuel racing.
Okay. So now, what year did the Spirit of Tulsa come into play for you?
I'm sorry, what?
I said, what year did the Spirit of Tulsa dragster come into play for you?
Well, I bought the Spirit of Tulsa car 5 years ago, and we've been, basically working out a combination. The crew's been working out a combination, and we've been kind of slowly moving along without trying to feed a lot of parts. And he's been building a motor and fuel and chassis combination that will live in this class is kind of the direction that we're headed.
So now, what's the fastest pass you made with this dragster?
I'm sorry, what?
What's the fastest pass you've made with the dragster?
This car has run 3.93 seconds, 203 mile an hour to half track. It's went 5.1 seconds at 235 mile an hour to 1,000 feet. And that's the farthest I've been under power in this car's 1,000-foot shot.
No quarter mile yet, huh?
No quarter mile yet. I mean, I coasted through on that run, and it went a 623 at like 176 or 170 something on that 1,000-foot run. But it pinched the rings on a hole, and I felt the car shutter, so I just stepped off of it.
All right. So now, Paul, when you first got into drag racing, was there anybody that was inspirational to you out there? You know, other drivers out there?
Well, there were other drivers. I mean, I looked up to a lot of people that I saw run at national events and things like that, and I always just kind of decided for myself that there was going to be a couple things I wanted to try to do. One was I wanted to end up eventually with a front motor top fuel car someday, and I never wanted to quit racing till I went at least 200 miles an hour.
Right. So now, what national drivers were inspirational to you back in the day?
Well, Prudhomme was probably the person I looked up to the most. I mean, I really liked the Army cars, and they were running really strong. And he was the one, I think, between him and McEwen, you know, they probably had the most exposure out of about anybody at that time frame. The Blue Max was always a favorite carbide. I liked that bunch of guys, and that car was, you know, in a class by itself from time to time. So they would be the top people that I, you know, looked or watched or kept track of.
Yeah, a lot of people love Raymond Beadle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So for this year, how many events have you ran so far?
We have been nowhere yet this year. We're leaving next Wednesday for the Holly Hot Rod reunion in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And then if everything goes well there and we have enough stuff left, we'll be running in Tulsa, the hometown for us, September 21st at the Heritage race they're having here.
Okay. So now, with the dragster, what kind of engine do you have on a dragster, and then how big is the fuel pump on it?
Well, this car is completely Heritage Series legal, so we run on a weight to cubic inch ratio. It's a 417 Donovan billet block, but it's only 390 cubic inches, and we are limited to a 20-gallon fuel pump by rules.
Yeah, the Heritage rules, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now when you take the dragster out, how many crew members do you have, and who are your crew members?
Well, Larry Rogers is probably the kingpin of the whole thing. Without him, you know, we wouldn't be doing any of this. He's the ultimate innovator. He can fabricate, he can build chassis, he can build bodies. This whole car, everything that is on it is out of his head and how he wants it to be. He was actually crew chief on the modern day Top Fuel team that I worked on. He was my boss. And I really realized not too long after I went to work there that he's probably one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life when it comes to drag racing. And he's a big thinker. So he's really, you know, the glue that holds the whole thing together. Then we have Ron Dudley, who is the car chief, and he's raced his whole life and driven fuel funny cars and driven alcohol dragsters, and, you know, is a really gifted mechanic in his own right. And him and Larry spend a lot of time together. I probably couldn't even tell you what they talk about most of the time, but they bounce ideas back and forth off each other about what they saw, what they want to do, and what they want to see the car do. And then J.W. Timmerman is a kid I corrupted in youth Bible class where I went to church, and he just does all around about anything that we need done. So basically we go with myself and 3 other people.
Okay. So do you have any sponsors for the dragster currently?
No, I don't have any. I fund the whole thing myself and out of my business. And we've made a couple of runs at a couple different companies here in Tulsa, and their risk management people, 80-60 when it got to their office. So, you know, I just kind of decided that we just kind of keep doing what we were doing. not try to feed the car too many cars, try to develop a combination that will live. And, as long as I can afford to do it myself, I think I want to continue that way for the time being.
Okay, now, how did you get the nickname Nobody?
Well, Nobody came from when I first started working on Fuel Funny cars. The only people that had their names on uniform were usually the driver and the crew chief. Crew members, typically we would have a uniform, but it wouldn't have a name on it. It'd just be blank. So a bunch of us young kids, we were 17 at the time, we started putting duct tape on our shirts, and we'd write in names that weekend that, we would think of, and they were like Nobody or Nobody Home or I'm with Nobody or Stupid or, just anything that we could think of that we thought was funny for the weekend. And mine ended up being Nobody, and it pretty much stuck till today.
Yeah, you stuck with it all these years, huh?
All these years since 1975, basically.
All right. So now, when you started drag racing, was your family involved with you with the drag racing?
No, I don't have any other family member that drag races. I have a nephew and an older brother that tractor pulled quite extensively, but nobody else drag races at all.
So were your parents supportive of you when you were drag raced?
No, not really. They would just soon I didn't do that, I think. Still today.
They thought you were going to kill yourself, huh?
Yeah. Well, my mom actually said I took the Spirit of Tulsa to my hometown to a car show that we got invited to, and when she heard it run, she said I could never go watch him race that. So they have never seen this car run.
Wow. So now, Paul, what was it like to get behind wheel for the first time of this nitro dragster you're running now?
Well, I'll tell you, for me, it was 24 years before I had sat in the seat of a front-loader car again when I bought this car. I sold my other car 24 years before that, and it was 24 years before I got back in the seat of the car, and it's just absolutely the most awesome thing that you couldn't explain to anybody, even if you tried, what happens when you step on the throttle. So
now, when you're out there doing the heritage racing, do you get any advice from other dragster drivers out there?
Well, yeah, I think racers are pretty good about giving other people advice. Sometimes welcome, sometimes unwelcome. But, if you want to get picked apart in any sport, go try drag racing, and you'll find out how people want to pick you apart. And if you're a driver or you want to be a driver, you're probably going to get picked on more than any other position you could do, is you'll get picked on. So you just got to kind of, for me, I just want to go out. I love fuel racing. I love the front loader cars. I love the nostalgia. And for me, it's about being there. It's about trying to put the car together and put it down the track and destroy everything that you own. And for me, it's more about being there than it is, winning races or, winning a championship. Those things are just, they're not on my mind, and they never have been. I've had a bucket list of items. One was I wanted to own a front motor top fuel car. I did that. I didn't want to quit racing until I went 200 miles an hour. I did that. I wanted to get a nostalgia top fuel license through NHRA Heritage Series. I did that. I wanted to pass tech at an NHRA Heritage Series race. We did that. I still want to qualify at a race. I still want to run a 5-second lap. I still want to run over 250 miles an hour. And I would like to maybe at one point, or at least once, try to get the car out to Bakersfield and actually run on an historic track like that, where basically a lot of this stuff started, was a big event. So I've checked off a lot of bucket list items.
Right. So now, Paul, if anyone's listening into this interview right now and they're thinking about driving a nitro front end dragster, what kind of advice would you give someone?
Well, the best advice I would give anyone: surround yourself with somebody that knows a hell of a lot more than you do, and I did exactly that. And safety, I mean, these cars are absolute animals when you turn them loose. And things happen so fast. When you get down to the end of the track, your mind is playing and overplaying what actually happened, where did it happen on the run, what part of the track were you on. And, people that are competent, like I put my life in Larry's hands every time we go to the starting line. I know that it would kill him personally if he ever hurt somebody in a race car. And there's a big comfort level for a driver, somebody who's trying to learn to drive, when you have those kind of people preparing the car, reading the track, reading the car, and everything that it's doing, because you're not going to have time to do all that once you step on the pedal. It's going to be happening that fast.
So now, when you get ready for a weekend of drag racing with a dragster, what goes into preparation for you to get the dragster ready and all that?
Well, I've spent basically almost half or better part of every day the last 2 to 3 weeks just getting the motor back in. Larry and Ron assembled the motor and got it all put back in the car. We went through basically all the systems on the car, put the clutch back in the car, changed the rear gear. I mounted up slick. I went and bought fuel. I've had to get ready. Tomorrow I'll be working all day, loading the trailer with everything we need to take to the races. We fired the car yesterday, and Larry wants to fire it again before we go so he can do a little more tuning on changes he made in the fuel system. And hopefully by early in the week, the car will be ready to go in the trailer, and we can put everything that goes in behind it. I'll have everything in that goes in ahead of it by tomorrow, and I'll be checking all the brakes and the lights and everything else that we need to travel. And then next Wednesday morning, we'll leave for Bowling Green.
Okay, now, do you ever take the dragster out to car shows and cackle it?
We have done several. We have one that's annual every year at the Hot Rod Garage over in Sand Springs. They have a real good event for a charity, and there's a local fella here by the name of John Neese who owns the Tony Dancy car. He owns a Benny the Wizard Osborne car. He owns the Dunn and Reith Striped Lifesaver car now. He always brings his car out there. We haven't been there the last 2 years. Some mechanical damage last year that we didn't have a spare blower. The year before, all of our stuff was already at the machine shop for the winter. But we try to go to that every year. And we've done a couple of other car shows locally to just kind of give people a feel for. I think it's important that people see the cars because they don't always get to go where the races are.
Right. So now, what are some of your favorite tracks to run on, Paul?
Well, I really like our local track, Tulsa Raceway Park. I think it's probably one of the premier tracks in the country. We had a good race here last year with 12 top fuel cars, front motor cars from all around the country. Bowling Green is a good track. It's a very narrow, tight track. If you get out of the groove, it can really, I've seen a lot of different areas of the lanes on that track, and that happens very quick. But we went to Noble over near Oklahoma City, made one little squirt over there. So basically, I've only run this car at Tulsa and at Bowling Green, and we did a match race at Ardmore. We ran a fuel altered out of Texas. We did some 8-mile match racing there, so and it was a decent track.
So now, where do you get all your safety equipment from?
Everything that I wear comes from Simpson Safety: helmet, fire suit, gloves, boots, shoes, the underwear. Everything that I get comes from Simpson. Some of my seat belts and other safety equipment come from DJ Safety, blower bag, Stroud, a Stroud dumper for the motor. So basically those three companies, Stroud, we have an item, DJ with several items, and Simpson, everything that I wear is Simpson.
Okay. So now, Paul, what would you consider to be some of the milestones of your drag racing career?
Well, for me personally, I mean, like I said previously, the bucket list items that I wanted to accomplish, buying the car, going 200 plus mile an hour, getting my license, going to Heritage Series events. To me, those were all milestones. And, whatever we do after that, I mean, they're just going to be added to the plus column. We're not one of the heavy hitter cars out there at this point, and don't know if we ever will be. Don't really know if I want to be that car, because my programs, it's just different than others.
Right. You're just having fun driving a nitro dragster down the track.
Well, who wouldn't have fun doing that? I mean, there's nothing like it. Like I said, you can't explain it to anybody. They'd have to do it themselves.
Yeah, making people's eyes get all teared up out there.
Well, yeah, that's an added plus. Backing people away from your pit, you mean?
Yeah, you always watch the videos on YouTube about like the big show cars and people running away when it starts.
Yeah, they run up and then they all disappear.
Yeah. Like Scott Palmer, they all love Scott Palmer when he's in the pits.
Yeah, Scott Palmer's a good guy.
They love the throttle wax.
Yeah, well, he's the last one doing it, So, I mean, there's another thing that went by the wayside. We won't even do that with this car. The throttle whack is something that he's really known for. And in my opinion, he's got a big fan base because of that.
Yeah.
Really does. So good for him.
So now, throughout your drag racing career, have you had any accidents or near accidents at all?
Well, yeah. I mean, I put the car off the wall here in Tulsa on my last licensing run and received quite a butt munching from my crew chief for my shenanigans in the car that night. But it really was my fault. I mean, I overdrove the car, blew an oil line off about 800 feet, and got oil under the tires, and I ricocheted off the wall and destroyed the right front wheel and the canard wing, bent the center hub of the rear wheel, dented up some header tubes, took out some pistons and some other stuff in the motor, and knocked the wind out of me. I mean, I hit hard enough that my neck was messed up for close to a year or longer, and my ribs inside. I mean, I took a pretty good side impact shot on that one, and that taught me a little lesson, about overdriving the car. And but it could have been a lot worse than it was. So we were very fortunate in that respect. That's the only close call I've really had was that one.
Well, knock on wood, you won't have any more accidents.
Yeah, well, I haven't asked for a repeat performance of that.
Yeah. So now we're going to get into some fun questions here, Paul. If someone were to give you $200 million and ask you to build them a new drag race track, where would you think about building a new drag race track, and what kind of features would you want to put into that track?
Well, I think that Billy Meyer proved to everybody back in the 80s when he built the Motorplex that an all-concrete post-rest surface is the only way to build a drag strip. And I would try to build one in an area where they had milder weather, where you didn't have to deal with the hazards of winter and freezing and thawing and everything else that destroys the surface. And, once you put that surface down and it's a good flat surface that people can race on, then all you need after that is the proper lighting and the timing system and, the support stuff for the fans and whatever else. And, you've seen some of these facilities come along, like Bruton Smith's built several of them around the country. Sonoma's a premier facility now. Vegas is a premier facility. They're doing 4-wide in Vegas now, where they didn't do it before. I mean, I think when the fans go in there, they see that almost stock car appearance, but yet it's a drag strip. And they have all the best of everything. You couldn't ask for anything more than that.
Right. So now, do you have any hobbies outside of drag racing, Paul?
Well, I do. I could always tell my crew chief he's great at what he does, but he can't play the violin, and I can. So, I've always enjoyed music. I enjoy hunting. I enjoy guns, things like that. And but I've done a lot with musical instruments. I like to play guitar. I like to play mandolin. I like to play violin. Was in a praise and worship band for a little while. And those are good therapy items for me.
So no fishing?
No, I don't even own a piece of fishing equipment. I'd have to go hand pick to catch a fish.
So in the heritage racing, do you have a greatest competitor that's in the that heritage group?
Oh, not really. I mean, I don't really look at it that way. I know a lot of them do. I'll just be honest with you. When I look at the qualifying sheet and I see names on there like Adam Sorokin and Brendan Murray and all these guys that have been around, Nostalgia Racing, Champion Speed Shop car, the High Speed Motorsports car. When I see my name on a qualifying sheet, even if I haven't qualified for a race yet, I mean, to me, that's the top of the heap to just be on the same page. Other people think you have to go, you got to qualify, or you're nothing, or why did you go, or what. My programs, I just don't look at it that way. And, a lot of people have told me that I should, but I just don't. I see things differently for what I want to do.
Right. Nothing wrong with that. So now, Paul.
But I'll tell you, there's nothing like it when you leave the starting line with another car and you get to see them a little bit in the other lane, kind of inching back and forth all the way down there. If you get a chance to do that, while you're trying to take care of everything else. But you see the other car typically, if it's anywhere in your peripheral vision, you're going to catch glimpses of it. So.
Right. So now, Paul, throughout your drag racing career, do you have a most embarrassing moment?
Well, I would probably have to say skipping that car off the wall was probably my most embarrassing moment ever. Because I did it. But, I don't know anybody that's raced that hasn't done something stupid at some point, So I'll just give it up to the gods for that one.
Right. So have you won a lot of trophies throughout your racing career?
No, not really. I mean, I raced for when I was running Strict Eliminator, I won some trophies. I showed cars for a while and won a lot of car show stuff that I don't have any of them. Whenever I sold the car, I made sure all the trophies went with them. I didn't want to dust them, and I didn't want to keep them around. And I don't have one single trophy from anything.
Now, if you were able to do time traveling and go back in time, would you do anything differently?
If it pertains personally, yeah. If it pertains to others, I probably would have done a few things different as I progressed to faster cars. I probably would have done some things a little different, but I don't have any regrets, not in that respect.
Now, if you ever have time to take a vacation, you have a favorite vacation getaway spot?
I'm a pretty simple guy. I can take my best friend Laurel, and we can hop on my Harley Davidson, and we can go ride for an hour and a half and have dinner, or we can go over and visit my cousins in Arkansas and ride motorcycles. And I'm pretty simple about that kind of stuff. I don't have to have the big bacon, the big cruise, any of that. Much to her chagrin, probably at some point that I'm not like that. But I like the simple thing.
Okay. Now, Paul, what would you consider to be your favorite food to eat?
Well, my favorite food would be baby back pork ribs done on my grill.
And what do you got, a gas grill?
No, I've never cooked with gas. Blackjack oak and charcoal.
Yeah, I prefer charcoal too. I prefer the charcoal flavor over gas.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, what's your favorite beverage?
Oh, my favorite beverage, probably unsweet tea or water. One of those two.
Now, are you a movie guy? Do you get to watch movies at all?
No, I really don't do much of that. I mean, from time to time, we'll take in a movie. But, I'm not a super big movie fan. There's some I like to see, and some I watch over and over and over, but,
So
those are just little snippets of time.
So do you have a favorite movie of all time?
Yeah, I think my most favorite movie would be Dances with Wolves with Kevin Costner. I really like that movie.
Yeah, that's a good movie. It's a long movie, but it's a good movie.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
So when you're at the track, do you eat regularly, or you eat light at the track?
Well, normally what we do, since Bowling Green is so unseasonably hot and humid all the time, we take a lot of watermelon, we take a lot of carrots, we take cherries, we take celery, we take things that are cool when you eat them. We typically eat deli ham or deli turkey, or things that are light on your stomach. We've never taken the grill to Bowling Green and actually done like hamburgers or ribs or anything like that. Now, at Tulsa last year in the fall, it's a little bit cooler. It's in the low, usually the mid-80s. So we actually did take a gas grill that I could carry in the trailer. And we did some hamburgers and some hot links and some sausages and some other stuff. But I'm not a big eater, and especially a heavy eater during the day when I'm driving. I don't like to put a lot, I like to keep it light. And, like I said, the watermelon, the carrots, the celery, the cherries, anything that's cool that you can put inside you to kind of help keep your core temperature down. And because once you get in your 20 fire suit and you've got all your safety equipment on, it can be pretty overwhelming. I mean, you sweat at a high rate. So, you have to stay hydrated. You have to keep the right things in your body. And for me, it's not going to be greasy hamburgers or sausages or hot dogs or anything like that. I just can't do it.
Yeah, then when it's real hot outside, you don't have appetite anyways.
No, not really. I mean, it's all you can do to keep your water level where it needs to be.
So now, if you weren't drag racing, what do you think you'd be doing in your life?
Well, if I wasn't drag racing, I would probably have a street rod or a plastic car or something I could go do some simple car things with. I'd probably spend more time. My oldest daughter loves to hog hunt, so I might be hog hunting with her, or playing music, that kind of thing.
Okay, so now, since you play all these instruments, what's your favorite music?
Bluegrass.
Bluegrass,
and behind that would be, praise and worship music.
Okay, now, what would you consider to be the fondest memory of your drag racing career? Oh,
boy, the finest memory. I think think that for me personally, it was when I got my Nostalgia Top Fuel license. I mean, that was one thing I really wanted, and I got to achieve that, and whatever happens after that's just going to be icing on the cake.
So now, if people that are listening into this interview right now want to find out where you're going to be running the dragster at, what's the best way for them to find out where you're going to be at?
Well, we have a Facebook page called The Spirit of Tulsa Nitro Front Engine Dragster, and they can check it out anytime they want. They can watch videos. They can see pictures. Basically, it has all the information all the way back to when we started 5 years ago with this car is on that Facebook page.
Yeah, and I did put the link to your page on the event page when I made the event. So.
Oh, good. Thanks. Appreciate that.
Oh, no problem. Well, Paul, I want to thank you very much for your time for doing an interview with me tonight.
Well, absolutely. I consider it an honor, and I appreciate you wanting to put us on the air.
Well, thanks to Rick Taylor for giving me your name to tell me to get you on. That's Rick Taylor's fault.
I'll hug him until he quits wiggling.
Rick's a great guy.
He's a good guy.
I had him on the show, I think, 2-3 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, I listened to that podcast. That's big.
So, Paul, you have any final words for everyone listening? You want to say anything?
The only thing I want to tell them is get to your local track where they're having nostalgia events, the nostalgia racing events if you can, because you're going to see the stuff as it really was. Some of our rules are a little different than they were back then. If you can get to a national event, I mean, they're awesome too. I just went to Topeka a couple of weeks ago, and that was the first national event I've been to in about 3 years, and it's awesome as well. It's completely different than the program that we run in, but if you enjoy drag racing, those are the two places to go: a national event or a nostalgia race.
And one more question, Paul. How important do you think it is for the kids to come out and watch drag racing?
Well, I would much rather see them do that than some of the things that we're seeing on the news and other places. I think that, we're shop classes at school aren't doing what they should for the kids anymore. The trade schools, you don't find hardly any kids involved in, the automotive industry. I think it's very important that, we take whatever they're doing out on the streets and we put it on the racetrack where it belongs.
Now, when the kids come to your pit area, do you put them in the dragster at all? You let them sit in there?
Oh, yeah. We put them in the car. We let them take pictures, or we take pictures ourselves, and we try to explain to them whatever they want to know about. And yeah, I mean, that's a big deal for kids. I hear from people all over the country, we just got the pictures back of so-and-so in your car, and we've enlarged it, and he's got it on his bedroom wall. And so, yeah, I think those things are important.
Yeah, like they are the future of drag racing.
Yeah, if there's going to be one, they are.
Right. Well, the good thing is we got a lot of junior dragsters out there now.
Yeah, there are a lot of junior cars out there.
Do you got a lot of junior dragsters at the track up there in Tulsa?
Tulsa has quite a few.
Yeah. I actually interviewed my first junior dragster the other night.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Good. It was. She was the daughter of a nitro driver out in California, Michael Hofstad.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it went well though.
Good. Yeah.
And
now what they need some front loader junior cars.
Yeah, that would be cool. Well, Paul, I want to thank you very much for your time again for doing this interview with me.
You bet. Thank you.
And you have a great night.
You do the same.
And good luck up there in Bowling Green.
I appreciate that. We'll do what we can.
We'll put you on air again in the future. Hopefully, we'll talk about you had a good race. Maybe you had a win or something.
Well, that'd be great. Check in when we get done.
Even though you're not looking to beat anybody, you might win.
Hey, Hey, we got the same chance everybody else has, the way I look at it.
Oh, yeah, you could be in the finals and someone could break, and then it could be your win right there.
You know, that may be the only way I get one.
All right, Paul. Well, you have a great night, my friend.
You do the same. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.